so it's my turn to weigh in on this whole Stephen Colbert testifying on Capitol Hill. There's a couple of main things I want to hit on. First, though, I gotta say that I just love that the right-wing media does not get the sarcasm, they aren't able to see past his whole character. So they are freaking out over the whole thing, of course, calling it a travesty, and that he's degrading the whole political process and democracy and making a mockery of it and blah, blah, blah. However, there are a couple of very important things that he did accomplish today that they're completely overlooking. The first of which is drawing attention to migrant farm labor, which is a huge, huge part of the immigration. Going to the whole Midwest and spending time in Ohio and Iowa and Minnesota and Michigan, with the farming that is out there, it is almost entirely migrant labor. Even here in Colorado, a lot of the onions and other types of vegetable farms that are out there, they do employ a lot of migrant workers, primarily because Americans don't want a job that is that difficult for that low of pay and with little or no rights and protections in place. But Americans are actively working against what they actually want in immigration reform by not allowing some path to citizenship for these hardworking migrant workers. They travel thousands of miles, they are dodging the cops, they are getting themselves a job, they are securing a place to live for themselves, for family, for friends, whatever, but they're working very hard in order to be within the confines of the United States because it's better than where they came from, or at least to them it is preferable. But if we were to give them a path to citizenship, these people have already shown that they're willing to work in order to be here. So what is the harm in giving them an actual legal way to work their way here? They may have started illegally, but if we can eliminate a lot of the roadblocks for paths to citizenship, I think we will see a huge decrease in the illegal migrant farm labor and much more legal migrant farm labor. The second thing that comes out of Colbert's testimony is he was saying specifically and very seriously that if you give these guys the visas and give them a path to citizenship, etc., while we're doing that, they become empowered because they will then have rights and protections that are afforded to people who are here legally. If you're here illegally, you can't go to the IRS and turn your employer in for, say, paying you under the table and not giving you your full pay or paying you less than the minimum wage for, federal or state, whichever one is lower. It isn't something that they can't have any recourse to. So these employers that exploit this are able to continue exploiting because they don't have any recourse, because they're illegal workers, and they're scared that if they turn these guys in, sure, it may help some other migrant workers that are there illegally get treated a little bit better, maybe, but mostly what's going to come out of that is they're going to get deported, and then they have to start the process all over again. And it really gives them more impetus to be here illegally than legally and just to put up with what they have to put up with. But if we were to give them those rights and protections, then we would elevate the actual pay rate as well as the working conditions. And once you do that, once you can get that up to a certain level, then other Americans are going to want to do that work as well. They may not want to spend hours bending over every single day picking pinto beans or whatever kind of beans it was that Stephen Colbert was picking, but they wouldn't be opposed to that kind of job. If it's that or working at Denny's or something, they might choose the farm labor, versus going to a chain restaurant or, going to fast food or something. it could become something that wasn't a magnet for illegal immigrants. Um, it would be a magnet for domestic production of produce. And it really helps everybody by doing this. So he had a good idea, he got it out there, and sure, he put up his show, but, and here's the second thing that I want to point out, he brought a lot of attention to it. Yes, he did put his star power behind it, and sure, most of the attention is going to be on the fact that he was funny and he did his act like he normally does. But the nice side effect of this is that you're going to get people watching C-SPAN 3, or at least, YouTube clips of it, that normally would have nothing to do with political stuff. The people from Jon Stewart's whole rally for sanity and needing to get away from so much politicking and such. But it's important to remember that there are real causes and effects at work here. And if you can get people talking about an issue, even if they're talking about it in the context of somebody doing a joke or a parody or a satire, they are talking about it. They are thinking about it. And when you get that, you also get this excellent side effect of a more educated and more informed, probably more informed than educated, considering our public school system, but that's for another day. But they are more informed, so when they go to that ballot and they check off the box or push the button, whatever, they are choosing a candidate that supports ideas that they're for. Now, whether or not the candidate's actually going to follow through, that's, again, entirely separate. But at least these people know what they're doing when they push the button, when they're making an informed decision rather than just who had the best campaign ads. So I think that it is a good step in the right direction, even if people are going to try and call it some horrible, heinous action on the part of Stephen Colbert and the senator that invited him to speak. But there are a lot of smaller things that are going to come from this, and I hope we get more of this sort of thing. People don't want to hear the normal politicking. C-SPAN is ridiculously boring, and it's something where we need to inflame the passions, and not through demagoguery, but through actual involvement and interaction within the whole political process. And that's my 2 cents.